Hi everyone, welcome to Data Appreciation with Shina, and we're looking at how to manage DataProc clusters. So in the last DataProc video, we looked at how to create a DataProc cluster. So one thing which we didn't do was to enable the Cloud Resource Manager API. So we're going to do that now. So enable the API before we start. So what we did, we only enabled the Cloud DataProc API. So now let's continue. Now we've learned how to start the DataProc and create DataProc clusters. Now remember that DataProc is fully managed and highly scalable service that maximizes open source data tools for batch processing, querying, streaming, and machine learning, like Apache Hadoop and Apache Spark. DataProc is used for data lake modernization, ETL, and secure data science. I've also learned how to create a DataProc cluster on Google Cloud's Compute Engine service. So here we'll learn more about managing DataProc clusters. Now, clusters are made up of nodes or servers dedicated to hosting only the computing resources needed to run our individual cluster. So first, we'll now look at how to start and stop a cluster. If we are not actively working with data sets in a cluster, we can stop the cluster to avoid charges for the compute resources used to run it. To stop a cluster, we'll navigate to DataProc clusters page in the Google Cloud Console to click stop to stop the cluster. So let's go to DataProc cluster page. So we can search here, DataProc clusters page. So this is it. You can see DataProc clusters. So, so this is our clusters page. Let's select this so we can have information about. So here we're showing us inherited roles, DataProc service agent, editor, and owner. You can add another role to it. Let's say our notification. Okay. So next, what we're going to do now is to stop cluster. So already we had an error message earlier. So let's investigate it. Let's investigate if we can investigate before we stop it. One of four, so two of them. So we're supposed to enable. We also enable Gemini Cloud Assist. We also enable Cloud Asset API. We also enable Recommender API. So let's see if we can enable this. Let's see. So remember, we have credits for this project. So we're trying to enable the required APIs. And let's see if our problems are solved. So just need to be patient. We'll see where we had issues after this investigation complete. We want to see how we can enable it, and then we can now start or stop following our guide. We want to stop the cluster. So let the investigation complete. Remember, our cluster is cluster 9888. And if we still have the problem, we'll go to manually start the required APIs. You can send us a new investigation and started, or we continue with the present investigation. So investigation is going on. Okay, so networking misconfiguration has actually happened. So resource quota exceeded, permission denied, project has reached its allocated limit for the region, preventing further creation, or the DataProc node manager configuration issues. So we asked to investigate permissions, we have to adjust the YAN mode manager. So this may not be the issue. So let's run another investigation and see the APIs if they've all been enabled. So we saw that message earlier. So all the APIs have been enabled. So we still have error message. So let's go back to the guide. When a cluster is no longer needed, you can permanently delete it. To delete the cluster, we navigate to the clusters window. We select the cluster by clicking the box next to the name as a checkbox and click delete in the top menu bar. So if we still want to delete this cluster, you can see the delete option right here. So next, we want to add a label to a cluster. So when you work in multiple clusters, cluster labels can help you to organize your workloads. And labels are key value pairs which can be assigned to DataProc clusters and job. Labels enable you to sort and filter clusters. You can label clusters by project, user, or any other categories your team needs. You can use Google Cloud Console to add labels to DataProc cluster at any time. And you can also add a job label only at submission time. So you also have the option of enabling automatically apply labels once the labels have been created. So we check the cluster, we click on show info panel and add all the labels in the labels panel. So let's come to labels. So this is our labels. You can add labels or as required, you can delete labels. So to search clusters, we will navigate to the list clusters page and see the search bar to set our filter criteria. So let's look at that. So once you select, so let's add, let's make a change to this, and click on save. So we made a change to our label, or save it. It must be running before it can be updated. So let's see if we can get it to run. By having DataProc worker mode, instability, and communication issues. So to check the logs for more issues. So now we can see how to manage DataProc clusters. So if our cluster is running, we'll be able to just make the changes and save them. Thank you and see you in the next video.